Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you. Are you tired? The energy is going a little bit down, but it's understandable. It's almost 9 o'clock in my country in the morning. So I come from Iceland. We have a population of 373,462 people. It's like a small neighborhood here in India. So we don't really have any big companies. We only have medium, or let's say small and very small, and tiny. That's our market. But I've been working in different parts of the world. I've been working in the United States, in Canada, and in South Africa for a while. And that is where I met my dear friend. This is me. My dear illustrator, who did all the drawing here. These are all hand-drawn, very expensive slides. But in South Africa, where we do voluntary work every year, a couple of weeks, where we teach teachers from the poorest neighborhoods. And he became my best friend, and we made a deal. I coach him. I've been coaching him now for 4 years, and he draws for me. And I've written 23 books, actually. I was actually hoping for a wow. Okay, but don't get too excited. 19 of them are songbooks, actually, since I'm also a musician. But what I want to talk to you today is about answering 4 questions, quite powerful by themselves. The first one, what is the reality we are facing today? The second one is, what are the major challenges we are facing? The third one, what are the facts we are not facing? And the fourth one, what is the key to long-term success? As a coach, it has been quite an internal battle here today. Sitting here in the audience, listening to people talking about management system as the biggest gift from God. But that is just my personal, cognitive, disorder. But I strongly believe, as a coach, that sometimes we need to step back and really ask ourselves, am I a manager or am I a leader? Then the question must arise, how do you distinguish between the two? What are the roles of the manager, what are the roles of the leader? But I'll come into it. But in my opinion, and I say this after I've been working now, 2,486 hours coaching personal, men or women. And I've experienced that biggest blockage, the biggest hindrance is always coming from within. Those are not the challenges at work. Those are not the management issues or the leadership issues. I mean, if you ask any leader or manager, what are the biggest challenges you're facing in your job? You always get the same answer, don't you? People issues, right? Can you relate to that? And that is actually what I'm going to address here today. So, question 1. What is the reality we are facing today? I wrote a book 2017. Then VUCA was pretty new to the world. You all know what VUCA is, right? Knock, so you look like you know what you're doing. I mean, the volatility, difficult word for me to explain, not to pronounce, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity. These are not even starting to describe the changes that we will be facing in the next 5 years. This is like agent stuff, because we actually are facing a whole new adventure. The map has been torn, and we are stepping into a new reality now. I mean, I cannot put enough emphasis on this, because the change that is waiting is by far the biggest challenge on global scale that most of the industries will be facing. And I'm not only talking about artificial intelligence, although that is a huge factor, but to be able to cope with that, we must face the speed of change. We must be agile to adapt to the change. Authentic leadership, in my opinion, is one of the biggest factors. And last but not least, the life curves of companies are getting shorter and shorter. So if you're not preparing today, the next life curve, doesn't matter if it's a product or a company, then you will be left behind. And Steve Jobs said once, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards, meaning that we do have a lot of experience, knowledge, insight. We do have a lot of learning curves in the past, which we can use to tackle the biggest challenges awaiting for us, which is digital transformation, for example, remote work after COVID, social responsibility, sustainability, globalization, the gig economy. It's getting bigger and bigger. And last but not least, artificial intelligence. But let's start by looking at the answer to question 1. What is the reality we are facing? I would sum it up like the speed of change is unprecedented, and the things will never be the same again. It will only go faster and faster. So to the second question. The second question is, what are the major challenges we are facing? And I would say the challenges are reflected in the most important training needs for the leaders of the future. According to researchers. This is not my opinion, this is according to researchers. So the first thing that came up, the most important thing that came up over and over and over again when I was looking at researchers in the area, what do you think it was? The first and most important thing. Not everybody at once, please. Just one. Emotional intelligence. Second was managing or leading a diverse group, with different, cultural backgrounds, all genders, include everybody, the DEI. Third, change management, cooperation, communication, crisis management, and in the 7th place, strategic thinking. In the 7th place. How many of those are connected directly or indirectly to emotions or feelings? I would say most of them. I mean, I don't want to use big words today, but I would say pretty much all of them up to a point. Okay, we can agree on that, right? Okay. So, the simple checklist of successful change. And from a coach to a coach, this can be used both personally and in organizations. You talked about visions. We've been talking about visions all day, right? So I'm not going to stop much there. The purpose must be clear, motivating and everything. Then the skills. Do people have, or do you have, what it takes to successfully adapt to or go through the change? So people need skills. Motivation, WIMIF, what's in it for me? Resources and planning, the 4 H's V. Why, who, how, when? Quite simple, right? But what if there's no vision, or the vision is lacking, vision is unclear? What happens? Remember, I'm talking about emotions. What will be an emotional response from your people if you don't have the vision? You get confused. If you don't have, or people experience that they don't have the skills to complete the task, what will be the emotion that comes up and will be hindering the process? Anxiety. If I'm put into a situation where I don't know what to do, it makes me anxious, right? But if the motivation is missing, resistance. And if the resources are missing, it creates anger, bitterness. You know, are you expecting me to do more and I don't even have the tools to do it? You know, or the time to do it? Do you want me to put it on top of everything else I'm doing? You know. So, last one, if there's no plan, then everything above. Right? Chaos. I saw you were taking pictures. Welcome. I can. If you write down your email or something, I can send you the slides if you're interested. No problem. Okay, but let's take it further. So the answer to VUCA is having the vision, perfect, creating an understanding within the people, within the organization, clarify what is complex, and adapt to what is ambiguous. So the next answer to question number 2, the majority of the challenges are linked directly or indirectly with emotional intelligence or the lack of EI. So let's take it a bit further. Question 3, what are the facts we are not facing? Okay? I would say, and I really mean this, you cannot manage change. 70% of all change does not produce the value it was supposed to create. And 84% of the reason why it fails is because of the lack of emotional intelligence of the people who are, who are responsible. So, I would say management is the mind. With full respect for managers. We need them. I don't want to go there now, but can be misunderstood. But the mind land is a good land. Knowledge is good. But I actually went on chat with the last week, and I asked some pretty serious questions. And I got pretty good answers. So the artificial intelligence is actually taking over a great variety of tasks and things that we learn in school and take with us as knowledge, because knowledge is now, just a fingertip away. But then we've got the heartland, and I say the leadership. Leadership alone, it doesn't work. We need to have both those skills. We need to have the land of self-knowledge where you understand how everything works and interacts. You have to have the management skills, and you have to have the leadership skills. Leaders are not born. They are made. And, could be misunderstood again. This is not the typical manager, but things need to be, done in the right sequence, right order. That is the meaning of the picture. It's got nothing to do with the hairy guy. So management is about looking after the day-to-day operations of the business, where leadership is about actually creating a vision that people are willing and motivated to follow. It's all about creating growth, empowerment, motivation, and building a meaningful vision for the people to follow. So I say here, you say the gray area there, that is not my expertise. I choose to focus on the emotional side, or what we call the vertical development side. Who you are, your EQ level, who you are as a person, that really identifies with who you become as a leader. So there has been too little emphasis on this part of the journey, but too much horizontal development, what you do, which systems you use, which data you're working with. because it all starts here with you. Leadership is up there, management is down there. We need both. The only reason it's colored up there is because that is my side of expertise. So if we take the third answer, the impact of true and authentic leadership and EQ is undervalued, but the need for those qualities have never, ever been greater. And the fourth and last question I'm going to address here today is, what is the key to long-term success? Well, again, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I love that quote. And it's from your beloved leader, Mahatma Gandhi. And that actually speaks right into true, authentic leadership. True leader is a gardener because his responsibility is to make everything grow around him. Unselfish, because if the leader doesn't have the trust to put a very challenging assignment in the hand of others, he is actually robbing them the chance to grow and develop. Do you hear me? Then we become thieves. Growth thieves. So, IQ might help you through school, but EQ really helps you through your life. And the same way, IQ can really help you get a nice job, but EQ is going to determine how successful you will get. And just a few points here. EQ influences the way we feel, think, and behave. And emotional intelligence and IQ, how smart we are, there is not much correlation there. I'm sorry to say. So if you're stupid, really embrace it. No, just kidding. EQ is estimated. This is very interesting. EQ is estimated to account for 27 to 45% of your success in your job. Okay, EQ is responsible for 2 up to 20% of the success you achieve. And the median is 6%. So don't undervalue the importance of EQ and leadership. You can develop it. It tends to grow with age. Peaks at 50, actually. I'm 53. And it can easily be, developed through coaching and training. And EQ and personality. I mean, would you agree that Nelson Mandela has a high EQ? Yeah, right. But high EQ doesn't necessarily make you a good person, because this guy here also had a very high EQ. So don't mix the two up. And emotional intelligence, quite simple. Something triggers you. Those who know Vita power, we've got 0.4 seconds until we respond to the trigger outside. Emotional intelligence is about aligning the language of the brain and aligning the language of feelings, And by aligning those two, if they are in sync, then you are true to yourself, and that will be reflected in your behavior in many ways. So here, I'm going to go, how many minutes do I have? 2. Then I'm going to speak very fast. Sorry? This is a big research that showed where leaders are and the 7 stages of leadership. Down here, we got the opportunities. And I think there were around 4,400 managers and leaders that were in this research. And they counted for 5%. They do whatever it takes to win, okay? If the wind blows from the east today, I'm going there. It's not the kind of manager you want in your organization. Then we've got the diplomat. He wants to please everyone, And he takes sides with his group, his team. And he's not a very good leader in the sense that he is very afraid to stand in his feet and carry out what do you say? I need the words now. The path or the vision of the company. He's afraid of conflict. Yeah, that's the word. Then, we go up the expert. 38% are experts. Like, well, Excel says that, we shouldn't be doing so much of this. Let's change that. And the expert doesn't realize the impact of feelings and motivation, when he gives an order down the ladder. Then we've got the achiever, the individualist, the strategist, and the alchemist. The only nominator for these stages between the stages are increased emotional intelligence. That is the main factor, because they're not changing anything they do necessarily. They're focusing on who they are, and that is reflected in what they do. So, getting to the point here. I'm not going to spend a good time here, but this is very interesting stuff you're missing here, just to let you know. Very interesting, deep and interesting, really meat on the bones, okay? But let's skip it. This is actually the opening of one of my books. It's a journey of getting to know yourself. You see the ship down there? I come from Iceland. We've got a lot of fish, fisheries. I've been a fisherman for some years. And the whirlpool of monotony and habits, has anyone got stuck there in their lives? Have you got caught in the current of apathy and dormancy? It's a very dangerous zone. Well, not to make it too complicated, if you don't get to know yourself, your crew, meaning all the people in your head, that's your crew, your strengths, your values, your emotions, and your goals, if you don't take that ladder up to the next level of who you are, well, then I really feel sorry for you. Because the foundation for all knowledge is self-knowledge, right? Then you might actually be sailing down the dock. Doesn't work. The dock, what do you call it? No, the graveyard of opportunities. You might end up there. It's not a good place to be. So to sum up the last question here, the answer is, the question was, what is the key to long-term success? The answer is develop your leadership skills, your emotional intelligence, and lose yourself in the service of others. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Ingvar. Let me congratulate you. This is one of the finest decks that we were discussing on PPTs, right? And we were wondering how we can steal that. And you did mention two people over here without mentioning their names. One was Dale Carnegie, and the other is Albert Mehrabian. What we do, who we are, what we say, how we say it, and what we do. So that was the formula anyways. I remembered that. So any questions anybody has?
Just a quick one. Thank you very much for making it convenient for us to take picture. You were so open about it. We have all appreciated the illustration, but I think the way you have put thoughts are also amazing. So thank you very much, and please do convey our appreciation for your barter buddy as well. Amazing. Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. And the question was?
No, it was not a question. We were so engrossed in the pictures, the concept we did not appreciate. So I want to say this is one of the finest representation of your thoughts also on the illustration. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. If you want to have the slides, you're welcome to. I was just thinking, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. You can send me a note, or is there a better way to do it?
That is a better way to do it.
Yeah, I'll share them with you. No problem at all.
Ingvar, one quick question. This is Anurama. I'm an executive coach too. What I'm seeing is struggle that many leaders are going through. Yeah. The education system has only trained them to be more of intellectuals, and suddenly coaches, we are sitting and asking them to get in touch with their emotional intelligence, or asking them to bring the mind and heart together, which I see as a big struggle for many leaders, because for them it's different for them to be experts. It's easier for them to play the role of strategist, but to get in touch with heart is not easy. So what are your thoughts about it? What is it that you do to, because when you shared the number 84%, is where all the failures happens because of lack of emotional intelligence. I see that's a scary number. Mm-hmm. And, we can definitely do something to bring a change there. So what are your thoughts on that? I would love to hear that.
My thoughts on that are actually, I do have a very strong meaning. Your question was two-folded. the educational system as we know it really, you know, praises intelligence.
Exactly.
After I finished my education, I had the message from my teacher that you're going to be nothing in life because you don't know math. And I'm not good at math. So I took a break from education for almost 27 years. So I went to university at the age of almost 40 years old because I just had convinced myself that I wasn't good enough. So that was the message I got. So I do have a strong feeling there. But, you know, the artificial intelligence, the OpenAI, is going to change that in a matter of years.
That's
because of the knowledge we have now up in the cloud, and it is accessible to all. And I'm not going to take more time on that, but for leaders, it's very easy to be a manager. You just have to give orders. And I totally disagree with the guy who presented up here. Be firm and be decisive, you know. That might be part of the culture on this side of the world. I don't know. If it is, I respect it. But when it comes, everything is boiled down, it's a question of humanity. It's a question of love. It's a question of kindness. It's a question of having, as a leader, what it takes to create fellowship. And if you ask any audience, do you remember a manager or a leader that you had and really, really respected? Everybody says yes. And I say, what were his qualities? And they start talking about, you know, he showed me respect. Not to waste your time, everything people say, apart from one Chinese guy and another down in South Africa, the two people out of thousands, they've answered something that has to do with emotional intelligence. They never say, I really loved working for this guy because he was the smartest one in the room and he always had the answers, you know. I didn't have to take any responsibility and I didn't grow at all as an employee, but I love him because he did all the work, he didn't trust us at all, so we just sit there. No, I've never heard that.
I agree with you.
I think that's a great
It is
point.
difficult to become a leader because it takes a lot of hard work and you really have to dig in here to find what you're looking for. That's why it's...
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.